Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in KITZUR, HILCHOS, SHABBOS. We are still in the malach of KITZUR, of harvesting, and we're talking about the prohibition of using a tree, lest a person comes to pull something off of that tree on Shabbos, even if it's inadvertently, but we're trying to protect a person from being mechal Shabbos. Nichlal be'isur shimush, included in the prohibition of being meshamish, of using and leaning and being involved with the tree on Shabbos, even if you're not using the tree itself, even if you're using something that is takua, that is driven in to the tree, that is in the tree itself, pegged in, that is nailed in. Kugoin, for example, for example, let's say that there's a peg that was driven in, that was nailed in to the tree, and you want to hang something from that peg. That itself is also called using the tree, and you cannot do that. Nevertheless, you said sal, if there's a basket that's hanging from this peg, mutter litain sham, you would be allowed to put something inside the basket. So to hang something up on it, you would not be allowed to do. If something was hanging up there already, says the KITZUR, you'd be allowed to actually put something into that basket. So too. So too, if something was in the basket already, that's like one step removed from the tree, because you have a peg sticking out of the tree, you have a basket that's hanging on the peg, now you have something that's in the basket. If there was something inside of there, you wanted to remove it on Shabbos, you'd be allowed to. Even though that hanging up the basket on Shabbos is an isser, it's a prohibition. If you're only working with the basket itself, that's not considered using the tree. But be very careful that when you take the thing out of the basket or you put the thing into the basket, don't move the tree at the same time. And therefore it's understood. It should be understood that to swing on a hammock, which is tied between two trees on Shabbos, is going to be a problem. To use a swing which is hanging from the branches of a tree is going to be a problem on Shabbos, because you are being meshamish, you are literally using and you are putting your weight on the tree. Sheshimush b'mita zu, because being in this hammock, it's similar to using the peg that is sticking out from the tree. Well, that's considered using the tree itself, and that would be a problem. Now, if this hammock, let's call it, was hanging from yeted, from pegs that are tekua, that are nailed in, that are driven into the tree, it's possible that you could look at this like a basket that is hanging from the peg. You have to go and ask a chacham, your local Orthodox rabbi, if you're going to be allowed to do something. In general, we look to prevent such things, and therefore swinging in the hammock or the swing that is coming from the tree, it's a complicated thing, and therefore a person should try to avoid it to the best of their abilities. So if you have a rope that is hanging from a tree, and there is clothing that is hanging from the rope, if it is attached to the tree itself, or to some kind of a pin, like a clothespin that is stuck to the tree, if the rope is tied to the peg, I guess, or this clothing pin over here, that is takua bilan, that is attached to the tree, then you'd be allowed to take the clothing off of it. Like we said, v'chein litloisan, so you'd be allowed to hang them up over there. Elu haneguvin, those that are already dried, b'Shabbos, on Shabbos itself. So says the KITZUR that in that case where the rope is attached to the tree, you have an issue. However, if it's like a pin, a clothing pin, a peg, that the rope is attached to that, then just like the basket, you'd be allowed to remove things from the basket and put things in the basket. So too over here on this clothesline over here, if it was attached to a peg, you'd be allowed to do the removal or the putting on to the clothesline on Shabbos. Have a wonderful day.